Today, we're going to do some wild things with language and sounds. And you're also going to learn why I personally don't use so-called language apps for learning any language, because what we're going to do today goes way beyond what any language learning app I know can do. So throw your headphones on, get your voice warmed up, and enjoy the ride. Now, what you're seeing here is what we call a DAW, D-A-W, Digital Audio Workstation. Now I'm on a Mac and I use Logic. Logic is one of the top ones out there. Now you may have used GarageBand and that comes free with any Mac. Logic is the paid version and there are some really cool functions in here. Now normally we would use a digital audio workstation for doing music on. So for example, I might have a riff like this. And one thing that allows us to do is we can set loops down. So I've just recorded that in, and then it'll just keep looping it. So looping is one thing that we can do, and you'll often see DJs use things like this and they'll just build loops up. So maybe I want to add a loop to that. And so that recorded in now. Back to the beat. Okay, so you get the idea. So normally it's done for music, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Another really cool thing that these DAWs or digital audio workstations can do is sample sounds. And you've probably heard these. I'll give you an example what the sampler here can do, because this Logic 10 sampler has had a big upgrade over the past year or so, and you can do some really funky stuff, but it's not just for music. This is an amazing tool for language learning. Today, we're going to repurpose Logic and the sampler here to become a super powerful language learning tool and a sound learning tool that just leaves any other language learning app in the dust. Okay, so I'm just going to set a new audio track here and let me turn the loops off. Now I'm just going to record something quickly. Da. So there you can see the waveform of what I've done. Now I can actually just cut that segment out now and I can get rid of these other bits. And so I'm left with just the da bit of what I did. Da. Okay, so that's there, but this is the cool thing. Watch this. Now I'm going to drag this. There are a couple of ways you can do it, but if I drag it there and I drop it onto, let's see, optimized, that'll put it in tune for me. And look at this. Now, if I play this now, da, 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 da. So that's what a sampler is. A sampler will take a sample of sound and you can do really cool things. If I want to play that backwards, you can loop it in here. So I might turn a forward loop on so it'll find a place to loop and just keep it going so I can actually play it like a synthesizer. You can set loop zones. So maybe I just want it to loop in the middle and release. So now I can actually play it. I'm playing my voice. This is so cool. Now we can start to see how this may help us with language learning. You don't see it yet? Let me show you. Okay, and I've just cleared our tracks out. Now, I'm learning Shanghainese at the moment. And if you've watched my tones webinar and pitch accent, you would see a whole section on Shanghainese then. I'm intrigued by Shanghainese. And so I've found this YouTube clip. It's called The Sound of Contemporary Urban Shanghainese. And they've got all samples of the Shanghainese language. Now, I want to get this audio from this and I'm going to sample it so that I can learn it. So the easiest way that I know to get audio, I go to my terminal. Now there is a program that you can use called YouTube DL, YouTube Download. And so it's got all of these functions. Check those functions out. There's so many functions you can do. You get things from thumbnails, different variations, but you can get just the sound from YouTube. And so I've actually created an alias here. I just type in YTA, and that is the equivalent of YouTube download, extract audio format is MP3. So watch this. If I type YTA and then that YouTube URL in, it downloads it for me. There it is. It's a bit of a long name, so I'm just going to change the name. And then if I do an LS, now I've already downloaded this before, so I think you'll see 2 files in there. But you can see they're in there. So that one just now is now Shanghainese MP3. So what we're going to do is go back into my DAW, into Logic. Now what I'll do is I'm just going to drag the whole thing in first, and you can see that it's put it there. So let me just shrink it up. I'll just move this to the beginning, and you can hear some of the audio.
The Shanghainese language.
Now there are bits in here where they're actually counting the numbers. You probably see it's probably something around here because you can see they're coming in regularly. Let's check.
Numbers.
Yes, so that's numbers. So the numbers look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so
1、2、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10.
okay, so it starts here and it goes to here. So what I'm going to do is cut and cut. Now watch this. I'm going to drag this bit to a new track. I'm going to use the sampler. Watch what happens now. Whoa, this is awesome. And so now in the sampler, this is where we can really start to learn. Have a look at this. Now if I just hit one key, this is mapping it to C3.
1、2、
If I hold the key down,
3、
it will play them all.
4、
I take my finger off, it stops. But that's not a lot of use. But we've got this function called slice here. And what slice will do,
2、1。
it will start to cut it where we call these transients. So where each sound starts and stops. Now you can see there are way too many there. We can bring the sensitivity back to about there. Now it's not totally clean, so I can just move a couple of these over. Actually, I want to get rid of this one, and I'll make the first one at the beginning. There, so I've just tidied all of those up. Actually, this can probably go there. If I want to add one, by the way, or if I want to delete one, I can just double click. If I want to add one, I just click it in, and it adds it. And you can see the notes have been added down there. Watch this.
1、2、1、2、2。
Okay, now this is chromatic, so it means white notes and black notes. I just want to put these on the white notes. So it's just easy to play on my keyboard. C, D, E.
1、2、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。
That is amazing.
1、2、1、2。
Yet,
1、2、
yet,
2、
liang.
1、2、2、2。
Now listen to that. Z. Now I can zoom in on that sound because I can hear a little bit of a buzzing. So let's hear this one. So
5、6、2、2、2。
the really cool thing is I can even zoom in even further, and supposing I just want to isolate that very beginning sound. Now listen. So this is fascinating. I can see that it's almost like this nasalization at the beginning. And then it goes. So this is one thing that our normal ears probably wouldn't pick up, especially if Shanghainese was not our mother tongue. There's an activation of the voice before the consonant even starts. Have a listen. Which is a sound that we just don't have in Mandarin. Like if you say the number 4, si, or even the word zi, zi, this happens just before the sound activates. But listen to this, the voice is activated before the consonant releases. So if I get rid of this one and play it together. Z, 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 and you can hear the tone go up there. So this is really cool. I can use this so I can hone in on different numbers. Now you can do some. I can actually change the pitch of these if I want. So now that's cool. I don't know how much use that would be in language learning, but it gets better. Now, we don't want to just learn words in isolation like numbers, especially with Shanghainese, because you actually see all of this tone sandhi kick in. So watch what we're going to do next. So I know from this clip that we have, what I have up here is the Declaration of Human Rights. They have it in Shanghainese. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience, and they should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Wonderful. I want to hear that now in Shanghainese. So we're going to get that portion of the audio. So where is it?
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Okay, so there it is.
四家人之事业
Okay, that's the title in Shanghainese, but now this next bit is going to be the actual Shanghainese.
承认生而自由，在正义和纪律上一律平等。他们富有理性和良心，并应以兄弟关系的精神相对待。
Okay, so that's the beginning to the end. So what I'm going to do is cut that there and cut this here. And let's do the same thing we just did a moment ago. So I'm going to put it into the original. And just like last time,
承认生而自由，在正义和纪律上一律平等。
okay, so you can see that it's played it for me. Now, one thing here, if I've got it on classic, it's just going to play it like a musical instrument. It's not a lot of use. So if I play a higher note,
承认生而自由，在正義和紀律上一律平
it
等。
just speeds it up and tries to do it according to the pitch. That's no use to me. I want to go to slice. And I'm going to change this to the white notes. And you can see lots of transients there. I want to reduce the sensitivity because I want each phrase. So probably, yeah, about there. So there's one. I think I'll draw one across to here. I can see it get quiet there. Let me get rid of these maybe. I can get rid of this. Yeah, put that there. We can adjust these later on. That looks okay. That looks okay. Yeah, let's see how this. So if I play this first note,
承认
actually this should go, this is cutting the beginning off. So let me get that and it can start here.
承认承认
Actually, it should be, let me get rid of this first.
承认生而自由，承认生而自由。
I want to stop it at Erze because I hear some interesting stuff going on with the tone there. So let's bring it back here.
在正义和承认生而自由，而自由。
It's I've got a bit of the NG. Maybe it's about here.
而自由，而自由。
Yeah, that's Erze. Yeah, okay.
承认生，承认生，承认生，承认生。
And so now this one actually should start a little bit earlier so I don't miss the beginning of that. Let's just clean some things up. Yeah, that looks okay. Maybe this could start. What is that? That's on an F.
纪律，纪律。
Maybe we can give it some more.
纪律，纪律
I can hear a bit of an S. So what's coming in on this next note on the G?
上一律平，上一律平，上一律平，上一律平，
Yiliping. Okay, so now I'm going to put one on there too.
一律平，一律平。
Okay, and this one starts a little bit early. I can see sound coming, so I'm going to shift that there. That is a B.
噔噔
Dun, dun. Okay, so what we can do now that I have this here is come back to the actual test of the declaration, and we can see this. Now you can see these are tone numbers, but something peculiar happens with Shanghainese tones, and that is even though each individual word may have a tone, there are going to be tone shifts according to patterns of either multi-syllable words or multi-syllable phrases. So if you want to know what those patterns actually are, I cover them in detail in my Tones and Pitch Accent free webinar. So go and do it. Click on the link below and you can go and learn these. But you'll see, even though the tone number 6, tone number 6, tone number 1, you'll hear that this zen zen will actually be different tones. Have a listen.
承认生，承认生，
Zeng, zeng, zeng. And you know it's not z like in Mandarin.
承认生，
It's almost like a tung and then gets the voice. Tung,
承认生，
tung, zeng, zeng. So there's all this both tone sandhi and consonant sandhi that's going on.
承认生，承认生，承认生。
And I'm fascinated. So, zeng, zeng, zeng.
承认生，承认生，
And then that sun comes down.
而自由，而自由，而自由。
Sung erzi. So sung erzi. So sung must be the next phrase. You'll see why if you watch my tones and pitch accent webinar, because that's part of the next phrase. And so it goes to this neutral tone.
而自由，
And so the only word with a real tone there is yo.
而自由，而自由。
Ziyo, ziyo. So basically this word ziyo, ziyo, that ziyo takes the tone of the final one.
而自由，
And then we can go through each other one.
在正义和 在争议我儿子也在争议我举了
Now, if I want to go and isolate individual words, I can just come back into it. So, for example,
儿子也
I want to get just that yo bit. I can just put this in here. I added a new one.
也
You. I can focus in on that vowel.
也
Now, let me get rid of that. What if I want to slow everything down? Well, this is the amazing thing. I can click this button here. It turns flex pitch on and flex timing and follow tempo. So watch this.
成人生
This is at 120 beats per minute. So do, right? So I can actually, let's do it in half. I want to do 60 beats per minute. And the awesome thing is with these samples, they will actually follow the tempo. So watch this. Because I recorded this at 120 beats a minute, this should now be half the speed.
成人生
And you can really now focus in on, let me put that there. I just want to get the beginning. There's no voice there. But then listen to this next one. I'll get rid of that.
成人
So this zeng actually gets voicing in. I want to check, and I've got it on slow motion, so maybe it's about there.
生
You can see zeng, it's almost like a Z. So we have these things happen in English too, where S's will get voiced or not voiced depending on what's before or after it. The same thing's happening in Shanghainese.
生人生
So actually, let me just isolate this again so we can hear those two syllables.
生人
So we can see that actually these are the words 人 meaning people, and then 生, but you can see these two, even though they're the same words and the same tone individually, they're actually getting totally different, not only tones, but the consonant sound at the beginning based on the position in the sentence. This is why I love Shanghainese. It's just so different to many of the other Han language or these Sinitic languages, because you're getting pitch accent, you're getting all these vocal consonants that you used to have in Middle Chinese, but they've been lost. It's almost like looking at the Grand Canyon and seeing all of these layers of sedimentary rock, but here it's these sounds that the voices produced and the tones. Zeng, zeng, zeng.
生人生
Let's hear that back at normal speed. 120.
生人生
And I can just take these out so we can hear them in one hit.
成人生儿子也
So there you go. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is why I don't like using language learning apps. When it comes down to it, whether it's using the terminal like you saw, so I can download audio files or I can do things with them, or I use software like this. Now, this is not a language learning app. This is a DAW, a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. But the things that then I can do, I'm not limited to what these third-party apps want me to do. I can just go across the internet or go out and record anybody, get real samples of real language, and just come in and analyze it till the cows come home in the way that I want to do. The only thing that I need to have are the skills to be able to use my ears and know what I'm looking out for, and then to be able to repeat it. So I'm hearing in there these things happening with consonants and tones, voicing. So I know about these concepts, even though I can't maybe do it yet in Shanghainese, and my voice would be off if I were trying to repeat it now. I can just sit there and really tune it in, and I can have checks and balances there to see when I'm coming in line or much closer to what that original specimen of the language is. Now, if you're working with tonal languages, there are even cooler things that you can do with flex pitch and looking at the pitch and seeing how tones work, because this will actually plot pitches for you as MIDI notes or notes on the piano, so you can actually see the flow of tones and pitch accent and all great goodies like that. But I will leave that for another clip. So I hope you've seen the power of these kinds of tools being repurposed for language learning. Once you've started using them, you're never going to want to go back to using third-party apps again for language learning, because the stuff that you can do is way more powerful and way more effective. Don't forget to scan the QR code and come and chat and continue the discussion with us in the Discord server. And if you haven't done the tones and pitch accent free webinar yet, you can click on the link down below in the description and go in there. It's totally free, and this should be the baseline before you go in to learn any tonal or pitch accent language, especially from across Asia. I'm Stuart J. Raj, and I'll see you on the other side.
拜。